Good
Hey,
Good morning.
good morning.
Good morning, Dave. How are you?
I'm fine. How's everybody else?
Good. Good,
Yeah?
good. Getting the
Yeah.
summer
Hanging in
started,
there.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
We went
Oh
we
yeah.
went from 40 to 90 real quick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, real
That's,
quick.
yeah. We're having heat waves around here too. I guess maybe it's extending over.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
I love
crazy.
it though that even last week when I was there, the heat wave was like 83.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah. Well,
like it's the
Yeah.
hottest it's ever
that's
been.
in the Bay Area. But if you just head inland a little bit, it's getting up to like 101.
Oh, oh my
Oh,
gosh.
So,
wow.
yeah, it's kind of the way it is around here. It's like kind of microclimates. If you'd have headed
Yeah,
another 10 miles west, it would have been 65. So it's kind of the way things work around here.
that is nuts.
It's
That's nuts.
good. Yeah. So
Well,
how's the weather going to be like for this weekend?
You know what? It's actually going to be so good. It's like 93 on Thursday and Friday, so hot, but then Saturday 77 with a little cloud cover, which is
Wow.
perfect car show weather.
that's
Perfect.
the
You don't
most
want it too
perfect. Yeah.
hot. You don't want it full sun. So yeah, so I was so excited when I saw the weather. I was like, yes, that is perfect. Give us a little
That
cloud and a little 77 and we'll take it.
is that what your weekend's been taken up with doing getting ready?
Actually, I had to go to a graduation this weekend, so we were out of town. So now I've got like 4 days of absolute rock and roll. Like it's going to be crazy. And here's the crazy part that I forget every year, and this is year 10, and I don't know why I forget it, is that like car show week, right? I have all this stuff to do, but then I'm also the detailer. So then I have all these cars that need to get into me to get prepped for the
Oh my
show.
goodness.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I do not have time. So I think I have 4 or 5 cars to prep for the show this week. And I have a regular detail today, and then just a million odds and ends to do. So it's going to be a crazy week. And Tristan's in a football camp this week at Boise State that we want to go watch some of the games. So it's going to be a crazy week. That's for sure.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess
Insanity.
it's pretty much expected.
Yeah. Yeah. We roll with it. I'll sleep next Monday, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can
Right.
sleep when it's over.
Eeks,
Yeah,
eeks,
I'll sleep when
eeks,
it's
eeks,
over.
eeks.
Yep.
You can sleep when
Yep.
it's over.
Yeah. Well, looks like we've got a good crew here with us today.
Yeah,
Um,
people are rolling in. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, should we talk about what's been happening at PNS before we get into what our favorite product is? So, Tony, you had training last week. So second one of the month, and how'd that? Oh, did we get
Yeah.
to talk about the other one yet, or no?
I
No,
was
we were
just
just
thinking that
starting
we
it, right?
probably didn't because it's been
Yeah.
2 weeks and we
Right.
had two back weeks of training.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, which if some of our, I know we have a healthy amount of carryover viewers
Mm-hmm.
from our podcast and like let's say the Rag Company podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You and Delaney were guests on
Mm-hmm.
the Rag Company Q&A last week, and
We were.
mentioned a little bit about the training we did 2 weeks ago at PNS, but we
Mm-hmm.
had a delegation, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
from Hawaii come out,
Mm-hmm.
two freshly graduated high school students, just like Delaney,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then a distributor, one of our distributors from Hawaii, and then his kind of like right hand guy, mobile detailer, and support crew guy for the
Mm-hmm.
distributor. They
Mm-hmm.
all flew out all the way from Hawaii, and we sort of had created a special 3-day training event for them. So it was
Mm-hmm.
the two classes that we typically hold at HQ that
Mm-hmm.
I teach
Mm-hmm.
in Hayward,
Yeah.
maybe expanded out a little bit, and then a third day that was IDA certification,
Mm-hmm.
both
Yeah.
written
Yeah.
and skills validation. And it was such a treat. It was
Mm-hmm.
so fun having the same crew of students 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
And then and obviously them just being cool kids, and a couple of cool
Mm-hmm.
guys that have known the PNS crew for years.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we were a big happy family. After that event, they brought us macadamia nuts and
Oh yeah.
other
Yep.
Hawaiian treats. And then we had a very short little blip of a few days in between, and then I was right back at it with the regularly scheduled programming and had another 3
Yeah.
classes. And so it was really cool. And um, yeah, it's a really fun time. Bob came in at the end of the training and asked everyone how it went and how they were feeling about everything and if they enjoyed the class and if they learned anything. And obviously the reviews were rave because
Yeah.
they were all about it.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, again,
Uh-huh.
no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, they were very happy with everything. But
Uh-huh.
Bob said it best at the end with them. He basically said, we don't do this certainly to make money. We don't do
Right.
this to um, try and overly promote our brand over other brands. We do this to create relationships.
Mhm.
And that is really what it was about. And I was just telling you, off the air before we started that myself and 3 of those students that this most recent week had been to 2 classes back to back. We were like a big happy family by the end.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted
So
selfies
awesome.
and exchanging phone numbers and contact information and everything. And it just was what a treat. And so, yeah, I mean,
So
it
cool.
was very cool. And and I'll just, just quickly jump into my product of the week as well.
Okay. Yeah. Go for it.
And then I'll just get out of the way. But I came home from training and I'm on a little bit of a boat related stint. So I actually polished on a boat for the first time in a while and got a little practice with my rotary polisher. So that was fun. And I used Kyle's boat and RV.
Cool. Very good product. Yeah.
Got to clean up a 40-year-old jet boat and then promptly turn around and take it out on the lake, which we did yesterday. We took several boats out and then I got a vicious sunburn on the tops of my feet.
Nice.
So I'll be back here running the show, wincing in pain the whole time. Anytime I move my foot.
Yikes.
But it's been a really fun couple of days doing all that kind of stuff too. So, and when I was working on it, it was funny because the guy's friends that our friends at whose house we're staying at, they have a big shop and they were fabricating and building stuff for the boats and getting the boats running and changing the oil and doing all this mechanical stuff that I can't do. And then I'm like, well, I'm just going to go get my polisher and polish on something because this is just I'm not helpful otherwise.
That's so cool.
That's what I did. It was pretty funny.
What lake do you go to?
This time we went close by, so we went to Lake Isabella, and so that's just about an hour and 15 minutes away through the mountains. And so this was kind of the test and tune day. For 2 weeks from now, we'll be going to Lake Havasu in Arizona.
Oh, fun.
So
wow!
That's the bigger trip.
Yeah, the big. Yeah. The destination place.
Yes,
I've
cool.
never been to Havasu.
Yep, I've been just once this last year, and it's intense. It's intense. I'll just leave it at that.
It is
people intense or the water intense.
The people. It's a spectacle. Like there's a section that is a channel that connects like one side of the lake to the other. And I'm sure I'm doing the actual description a disservice, but that is where people will park on either side of this channel, and then boats will just kind of cruise down slowly through the middle. Well, the right and left side ends up becoming like just a giant party. Just the whole
a raft
thing.
party.
People just playing music and throwing footballs back and forth, and like it's just a crazy party. And then you just cruise through in your boat, and then the whole middle is a boat show the whole time, right? Either way, there's a cruise in, cruise by sort of thing.
Crazy.
But anyway, I'll get out of the way.
That's
Dave's here today, and that's enough of me.
Yeah. We did. Well, I wasn't there actually. We prepared for all your little special products on Thursday.
Oh,
and kind of as is tradition, we're up against the wire, filling them the day before we've got to send them, or the day we've got to send them.
Yeah.
So I understand it did not go as smoothly as had hoped. Are we allowed to say what they are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Totally.
So we put together like small packages of frostbite.
Yeah.
And guess what?
What?
It foams.
When it's in a little bottle?
Yeah, when you're trying to fill it.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
So I guess they
Because you're on a different filling machine, right?
yeah, we're not usually doing that many
Right.
8-ounce bottles.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
So according to Bob, I wasn't there, but according to Bob, he and Patrick and Mark kind of all had to get together
Oh
to finish
no.
that off. But it
Oh
was
my
good.
gosh.
I understand it was a success.
How funny. I wish somebody would have been there to video. That would have been good.
I
Fill
know.
line video. Everybody loves
Watch
the
them,
fill line video.
them
I bet they
trying to
didn't even
make
think
this
about it.
thing work.
Oh my gosh, how funny. I didn't even think about the fact that it would have had to been changed fill lines. How
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah,
Oops.
we just don't we don't do too many 8-ounce bottles. So at
Yeah,
this point,
yeah.
so
Right.
maybe we're
Yeah.
going to do more, but I think we do have a plan for some 8-ounce bottles for rehab, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
But it's not going to foam, and it's nice and
Right.
thick,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
it
It'll
should
stay
go
put.
fine.
It should stay put. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, how funny. Well, good.
So
I can't wait to see them. I bet they're so cute. I bet
yeah,
they're
well, I
so
know we've
cute.
got to get them to you guys because you guys do a heck of a lot of work on them.
Yeah,
You know,
we got to stuff everything. Yeah, I think Bob said everything would be here on Tuesday, and hopefully it makes it. I need a couple of those items out of there. So yeah, so car show week. I mean, it was funny. Dave or Bob said the other day, we're going to be down to the wire, and I was said, well, is there a different way? Like that's kind
yeah,
of it's kind of the PNS way, so that's
yeah.
okay.
I don't know why the special projects, I mean, you always just, you think things like, like I ended up on a different machine. You think, hey, we're all set. We're going to be ready to
Right.
go.
Yeah.
And then at the last minute, they didn't show up on Tuesday like they were supposed
Mm-hmm.
to. And, it
Yep.
just kind of
Yeah.
cascades on itself then. But yeah, it's fun. We have a couple of special products, so that's going to be fun. I'm glad you've decided to switch them up a little bit.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. I'm excited to see the new bottles. I have actually haven't seen them. So Bob sent me a kind of a teaser, and then we decided to change the picture, and he never showed me after he changed the picture. So I don't know what they look like. So I'm kind of excited to see them.
Yeah, that'll be good. And
So very
it was
cool.
funny that Tony's product of the week is boat related because so's mine.
Cool.
So as it's not really it's not a detailed product at all, really. But we're involved with Babe's boat care products and that sort of stuff. And I went up to the lake this weekend and got to do some water skiing, which was fun. But I don't know if most people know, but the bindings on water skis, they basically just rely on a big. If you don't have the boot kind, they do have a boot kind, but they rely on basically this big, thick rubber boot that holds your foot in. And on the inside is like a shark skin rubber, so it's softer, but it's sticky as all get out.
Yeah.
So about 3 weeks ago, we didn't have a product Babes makes called boot butter. The whole point of boot butter is to help you slide your foot into the water, or into the boot, and then it rinses out really well, and it's not damaging to the water. It's made out of like a alginate, a kelp type material, so it's slippery. But so over the weekend, though, this time we did have boot butter because the last time I did this without it, I thought I was going to rip the skin off my feet. It was really.
Oh gosh, yikes!
So
boot butter.
Boot butter, yeah, strange. I know, strange, but kind of boat related again. But boot butter was one of the original products that Babes put together. Kind of before, right around the time that Boat Pipe was put together, and we almost didn't do it, because it wasn't really a detailed product. But I don't think there's much left in the industry that's used that way, because mostly, people are surfing and they're wakeboarding and they're doing all sorts of other stuff. So it's a little bit of a dinosaur of a product, but if you don't have it, it's not good.
Yeah, that's so fun. That's so cool. I have a little something behind my earbud there. Well, that's awesome. And let's just give a shout out to the whole Babes line, right? I think that that's one that not a lot of people know about, or they don't know that it's part of PNS. I find that a lot. I get a lot of customers that, say, well, I use Babes on my boat, and I always laugh because I'm like, well, that's PNS. But I do love the Babes line. And I always, for me, when I'm doing boats, it's always fun for me to be able to pull my bottles out. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I love this one so much. And it's always like a happy little reunion. I love, I think my favorites are the Seat Soap and the Seat Saver. Those two, I love them. They work so good, and they smell good. So I love those two. So shout out to
Yeah.
the
I
Babes.
mean, our boat now is getting, I think, oh gosh, it's got to be like 23, 24 years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for the most part, it looks like a brand new boat. We'd never put anything else on it, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It, I don't know
And
what
then
there's there's some UV inhibitors in things and
mhm,
that sort of stuff, but it's
mhm,
easy application, quick to put
mhm,
on, and it seems to work really well because
mhm,
we got really lucky on the gel coat on our boat, or the
mhm.
products are working great because
Yeah.
it's like it looks like brand new gel coat.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think they work great. I have several boats that I've maintained for years and years, and consistently been using Babes for 5 years now. And um, usually they come back in and, like you say, they look great, they look perfect. But this year I had one that I did testing with the Reflection on a year ago. So
Oh,
Reflection, for those that don't know, is the new kind of higher SiO2 spray in Babes, and it's absolutely amazing. It's actually in my top 5 products. I love Reflection, but I had put it on a boat last year, kind of as a test with this gentleman because I see the boat every year. It always comes back in great shape. I've always just used, the Boat Bright and Bead Maker. Um, and so last year I used the Reflection, and it came back in this year, and it was amazing. Like, not a speck of contamination. It looked great. It felt great. Um, it's one of those things where you would have never known before that it wasn't easy to wash, but it was like just that much easier. Not that I ever thought it was a problem before, but I could definitely tell that there was something different on it, and I could tell that the Reflection had done its job. And I was really, really impressed how well it held up because they actually used their boat quite a bit last year. So I was super happy with that. So I love that new product that's in that
it is
line. It's
always kind of
awesome.
interesting with gel coat, and the fiberglass,
Hmm.
and I think the compatibility between the resins and the glass, and then you're dealing with this thing that's an SiO2,
Hmm.
cross-linking polymer, and I think there's a compatibility there that you actually don't find with the urethanes that are on car
Hmm.
paint. I mean,
Yeah.
they're on there and they stick and they stay really well, but given the
Hmm.
hardness and porosity of the gel coat and then the
Hmm.
SiO2, the synergy seems to be
Yeah.
actually pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was awesome. It was
It it
awesome.
it gives the a product that does well, would do well like on a paint surface,
Hmm.
just the extra compatibility that's kind of
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
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 So
It's awesome. Okay, I'm
I
going to do
think
my
one of
product
our
quick.
I think one of our things that we were mostly concerned about a little bit is that it's such a slippery product, and you're putting it
Yeah.
on a gel coat.
Yes.
You got people stepping on gel
Yeah.
coat and that sort of stuff. You're like, okay, we don't want it to be too slippery. It doesn't seem
Yeah.
to affect the way where you step on it for some reason, but it is a really slippery product.
Right. I never thought about that, but they certainly didn't say anything about that. But yeah, I never thought about that because even when you feel it, it is really slippery. So, but it must not be an issue when you have wet feet.
Yeah, no, I've thought about it, a bunch. Now, we
Yeah.
traditionally, we're old time boat people, so no shoes
Hmm.
on the boat, all that sort of stuff,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
a ski boat sort of
For
thing.
sure.
And but it seems like it's fine.
That's funny. Booty shaking. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go through mine real quick because I'm sure we've got lots of questions for Dave since he's here. So my favorite product is of the week is No Rub, because I've always loved that product. I love kind of the final touch. I feel like it makes me a magician at the end of my detail. But last week we had a forerunner that comes in from Phoenix every year. And so you can imagine what happens to the materials inside that car. The owner takes it camping, and it's actually a college kid. He takes it camping. He does all the things that a forerunner would hope to do in its life, right? And it lives in Arizona. And so he comes home for the summer and we detail his car. And so, I mean, the materials are just so dry everywhere. You know, every wire, everywhere you can look inside that car is so dry. So I love the no rub where I can just, go around and like shoot all the areas that you can see but can't reach. So, like the stem of the seatbelt buckle and like, the cords underneath and in between and, all the little cutouts in them, the speaker things in the back. Like there's so many areas that you can't really reach with like a typical protectant. You wouldn't want to like soak that area. And so the no rub is just so nice to kind of fill in all those areas that if you go over with regular, like a natural finish, then you can see all the dry spots that you can't reach with the natural finish. And so it's so nice. It just kind of puts like the cherry on top and makes everything look totally good again. So that one always gets me out of the jam, but I notice it especially on cars like this that are so crazy dry inside.
Yeah,
So
we do use we do sell a fair amount of no rub. It's really
yeah,
a nice
it's such a good
finished product for
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I
yeah,
actually did use it a
love
couple
it.
of weeks ago myself.
Yeah, yeah, love
Um,
it. And like on the grills on the front and all those lower grills that they have now that, I mean, what are you going to do with them? You're not going to spray them with, like tire dressing or something. I mean, it just makes a mess. So it's so great for those tight little areas. I love it. Love it. So yeah, so no rub was mine. So I think we are ready to start with questions. So you guys get your questions in for Dave. We have them here, and we do. I should give us a heads up. A lot of times on Bead Baker and Coffee, we're able to go over, and this year both Tony and I have kind of hard outs at right at the half hour. So we have about 35 minutes left. So you guys get your questions in for Dave, and let's get this thing rocking and rolling.
yeah, if you could tell me the questions, I messed myself up, put it on full
Oh,
screen,
right,
and
because
now
you
it's
can't
not.
see them. Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
seeing
Oh,
them.
too funny. Okay. Well, yes. So Tony will pop the questions up ahead. So um,
There you go.
Marcus, and I'm not even going to try to say that all out. Does anyone in Boise sell sprott-free water? Not that I'm aware of. I know that MVP was looking at it. I don't know kind of where they're at on that. I know that they were looking at doing it, but I'm not familiar with anywhere that does, which I'm honestly surprised because we do have such hard water here. So I'm actually surprised that nobody sells spot-free water. Like I know in California, it's kind of a big thing because of, water restrictions and things like that. So a lot of people like to use the spot-free water. Here, it's not really a water restriction issue. It's more we have such hard water. So somebody should sell it, but I'm not aware of anybody right now that does. I apologize.
Yeah, well, Stephen put it in just outside our store now,
Yeah,
which was a
yeah,
big project. Actually, it is a
yes,
bit of a project, but it
yeah.
does. People come by.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome for mobile guys that can just go, fill their tank and not have to worry about, the water that's in there and all that. Okay, so Gabriel's here. He says, Dave, with all the products, so many that don't get attention or under the radar, which ones do you think deserve more attention?
So yeah, that's a good question, and there are a lot that are under the radar.
Yeah.
Certainly, the other day we had a
Hmm.
person that can I hang on just a second. Hey, there's Lee.
Yeah.
Lee's
Hi,
crashing
Lee.
the show, much like your cat does.
Yeah. Yeah. Too funny. Too funny.
So I think I just wanted to let you know you're on camera. I
Oh, and there's the kitty.
there's the cat too. Yeah.
Too funny. Too funny.
Sorry about that. I
No
was going to
problem.
let her know this morning
No
that we
problem.
were going to
No
be
problem.
doing
There
this.
goes the kitty again.
There she
That's so
goes.
funny. That's adorable.
Yep. She's
So yeah,
usually
so
pretty shy.
products under the radar.
Yeah, products under the radar. So, the other day someone mentioned that they used high tone on like
Hmm.
an older car. That was really neat.
Hmm.
I think high tone's still a really fun product
Hmm.
to to pull out and use because it's a wax,
Hmm.
and waxes
Hmm.
have kind of that feel and smell to me that I guess maybe it's just because I'm old.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
just feels like you're kind of using this like warm product, which is kind of neat.
Right.
Even though
Yeah.
high tone has some pretty strong solvents in it as well, but I think high
Yeah.
tone's one that's fun.
Uh-huh.
Can you think of one? I'll try and think of another one too.
For me, and we've been talking about this one and kind of thinking about playing with it for a while, but I think for me is still the tree sap remover. I think the tree sap remover is great. And we just don't have it at a place where we want to make a huge splash about it, but hopefully someday we will. Because it is like as a product, it's really, really good. We're just looking at the delivery system, I would say, more than changing the product. But I think the tree sap remover is still really, really a great product. I love that.
Certainly one that I use regularly because my car sits outside under a tree.
Yeah. So
and that's nice. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Paint gloss.
Oh, Tony's saying
good.
paint gloss. Yeah. I mean, I guess paint gloss is one that I probably use that. Like if I go into like quantity used in my shop, paint gloss is probably one that gets used at a very high rate. And it is one that, I mean, for me, I use it for so many different things. And so I think it's like these little jobs that nothing is that flashy or exciting, but as a detailer, it makes your job so much easier. So it is one that's kind of hard to talk about. Like it's so good. It's like your reliable best friend, right? But it is hard because the things that it does are not that flashy. Say like a soap or a SiO2 spray. But if you have not tried paint gloss with vacuuming, you've got to. That's
and you've done such a good job actually of actually bringing products out.
Mm-hmm.
When over the years, I mean, I'm trying to think of ones that were just kind of, we just keep selling and nobody talks about, but you've done such a good job with things like Crystal Wash.
Mm-hmm.
Undressed was one.
Undressed.
Bug
Clarity
off,
cream. Clarity cream. I know.
Clarity cream.
Clarity cream. Every time I'm there, it seems like it is sold out. It can't seem to stay in stock.
Even like Ultra Coat Polish,
Mm-hmm.
has been resurrected. Another one I think that I just, somebody was talking about the other day, it doesn't get a lot, is Cherry Speed Wax, which is another wax product. Very easy to use, kind of the liquid wax genre of things. I think it's been supplanted by a lot of the more longer lasting protection products, but really easy product to use. And so maybe just the liquid waxes in general have kind of languished.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, next up, Tony. We got a couple of questions coming in. Tony's typing his own question. Gabriel says, question for Tony. What is the cure time for ink on the labels, or are you still sabotaging it all? So Gabriel would like more labels made. So this is, he thinks Tony, since he goes to PNS so often, that he's sabotaging the labels, but Gabriel would like more labels.
Is that for spray bottles and things?
Yeah, he would like a new natural finish label. There's a couple labels he would like. Oh, he really wants the pad washer label for the pad washer. He just wants one that matches the bucket labels that say pad washer and natural finish. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, hopefully our graphics people are watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not really. You should see. We have an entire wall of bottles now.
Nice.
Which is kind of like that's something I think that. We tried, the bottle history is really funny. We tried to go, okay, well, we'll just sell stickers. And then the stickers weren't quite cool enough.
Yeah.
So, and then, things have changed so much over the years with, OSHA regulations and everything. I think it's kind of rare to see people with just bottles with like handwritten labels on them or
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep. No, the optics now is such a big deal. That you got to have nice, pretty labels. Gabriel would like triple S as well, he says. Okay, so this is Eddie Cologne. He says, Dave, hats off to you on this rehab compound is great. Yes, it is.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
it is so funny, rehab. It's so funny because, I mean, the name makes it funny too, because like once you've used it, I just don't know that I'll ever use anything else. And like, I know that seems crazy, but I can't even imagine using something else. And so it's so funny. And like, I know Tony and I echo this, that when we go to train, it's so funny. We've had to completely change the way that we train because we don't use other products. And so it's just that good. And I actually uh, redid Mike's car this weekend. So, his car, we bought it in December of 2020, and we knew that Legend was coming out. So I didn't do anything to it right away. We coated it with Legend, I think that next February. So it was like 2, 3 months old when we coated it. And we were using it specifically for, the testing and the application video of Legend. And so it's had Legend on it now for about 3.5 years or so, 4 years. And it's been, it slid off a mountain
Oh, little
and
things.
it got wrecked. And so it had some body work done that never got recoated. It got wrapped in a wrap class, so it had stuff stuck to it everywhere. So basically the coating had just been beat up. And so heading into car show week, Mike was like, look, I'd really like my car to be like totally, reset, fancy car, like dialed in, you know. And so I remember, so it's that smoke show gray, the flat gray, very hard to correct. Any of those flat colors are very hard to correct. And I've obviously done it once when it was brand new. And I remember that there was defects I couldn't get out and marring that I couldn't get out. You can see everything on that paint. And so I remember that from the first time when it was brand new, and now it's, 4 years old. And so went to start doing it the other day, and I actually used the maroon pad, which sounds crazy. I used the maroon pad and rehab, and I mean, like perfect, like it would rival any 2, 3 step correction. Like the paint is perfect. There's one little scratch that was pretty deep that nobody will ever see but me, but I just was like, because I remember doing it the first time. And so not only did I have to remove the coating, but I also had to remove the original defects. And it was so easy, and it looks bonkers. Bonkers.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen a flat color go that good. And I mean, this car has been used, like we put the Legend on it and then said nothing else is going on it for the next, because it was like, we're going to beat this coating up and see what it does with no toppers at all. So we've not put any toppers on it. And so it was crazy. But I mean, the rehab is just nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
So, it's kind of simplified some of the process of, of testing or, spot testing.
Yeah.
Where you used to have to, get like your 3 products that you liked.
Yep.
And then your 4 or 5 pads that you liked. And then you would have to kind of like kind of pick and choose and get the match that was going to work perfect. And you've kind of eliminated one of the variables a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to pick a pad.
Yep. That's what Tony and I have had to kind of rewrite the training program and just do the test spots showing the pad's different cutting ability versus a product's cutting ability. So yeah,
which is kind of neat, a little bit. But then, the other thing is a little bit funny is that sometimes you'll switch to a which is supposed to be a lighter pad and get a little bit more cut, which you're going like, okay, that doesn't make sense.
Totally. Yep. It doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
It does not.
So, I mean, it's fairly predictable because you want these things to be predictable, but every once in a while you go, oh, I'm getting better polishing and better cut. It's like, wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So that's cool. Yeah. No, we're
it's
really,
nuts.
really, really happy with the product.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Love rehab.
And we've been as you know, it's been about a 2-year process.
Yeah.
And some good, healthy arguments, right? About how we were going to get it to be at that level. Right. And so it was good.
Yep. Yeah. So good. So good. So yes, I had it for quite some time, and I had to beg underground for Dave to make me small batch by small batch. And then I couldn't talk about it. So yeah, I was so excited when it came out. It's so amazing. And obviously went through a couple different iterations, which I thought the first one was great, but man, this one is crazy, literally crazy. All right, Jamie the cleaner, Dave is the GOAT. Good morning to all my faves this morning in Team PNS. Good morning,
Good morning, Jamie.
And then Superato. Yes. So he had asked me a question a couple weeks ago. So do you remember my question about the nylon garden flag? Do you and Dave think that one of the PNS boat products would be good for UV protection? So those nylon garden flags that people have, that like it's on a little stick and then it's a little like 12 by 12 little nylon flag. He
Are they
wants something
nylon?
to, yeah, they're kind of cloth or like a, like a nylon material. And so he wants something on it that he could spray on it to be a UV protectant.
Oh, so seat
So
saver for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so seat saver is not supposed to be a dressing, actually. And I think about it, I don't think there's much dressing ingredients in it at all.
Right.
It's just emulsified UV and protectant. That's it.
Yeah. Is it just like sunscreen?
Yeah,
Basically, I mean, not like sunscreen. You don't put it on your body, but it's, like
it's
think about it
sunscreen for
like a sunscreen.
plastics.
Yeah.
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 And so, yeah, that's perfect. And so, yeah, I like to use it. I think we talked about this before. I like to give it a chance to kind of like dry on the surface.
Yeah.
Put it on, let it dry, and then,
Hmm.
take a microfiber towel and clean it off. It
Hmm.
never leaves a real oily finish, but I like
Hmm.
the idea that the sunscreen ingredients have a chance to
Hmm.
soak in,
Yeah.
because that's the
How
way they work
often?
in this case. A lot of UV protectants in the paint industry depend on that coating building up on the
Hmm.
top, right?
Hmm.
So the way they characterize it is you have a certain amount of UV attenuation per like mil, right, of
Hmm.
thickness. But in this case, we're not putting a coating on it. We're not
Hmm.
building up a surface. So what you're counting on is you're counting on that UV protectant soaking into the plastics
Hmm.
that are there,
Yeah.
because that's where your protection gets.
How often do you think one would need to put that on? Like, how long do we think the sunscreen per se is kind of active? Is it a short term
It's not really
solution?
short term because I don't know if you've ever seen this. I mean, for instance, if you get something like permanent pen on a piece of
Hmm.
vinyl, right?
Hmm.
You can't
Hmm.
get that out. It's
Right.
not on the surface. What it's
Yeah.
done is it's
It's
soaked
soak
into
in.
the
Yeah.
plastic.
Uh huh.
And
Uh
that's
huh.
what the UV protectants do as well. They soak
Okay.
into the plastic. So they're not really removable. Now, whether they
Hmm.
degrade through UV, I mean, that's part of the thing is they're basically
Hmm.
kind of sacrificial.
Hmm.
So, they are going to degrade over time with UV exposure, not very fast. They do really
Hmm.
well. There is a limit, but it's pretty
Hmm.
long and it's not going to wash
Yeah.
off if once you get
Okay.
it in there.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. All right, so then Eddie comes in with Dave. With the addition of frostbite, do you see a foaming acidic soap in the future?
That's a cool idea. We haven't thought of that yet. So, yeah.
He would like one.
I think
So,
the acidic soaps have some characteristics that are pretty cool for removing
mhm.
kind of different kinds of soil.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm thinking specifically like the grime that builds up between like emblems and stuff. Like I could see where that would be kind of nice to take off like kind of like old sludge and or just light water spots, right? I mean, there's lots of
Yeah.
cars around that have kind of light water spots. That would be kind of nice.
Yeah, the
Um,
foaming for that sort of chemistry is a little harder to get big foam,
mhm.
but you can
Yeah,
get
and what?
foam.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, and then Eddie comes back and says, "Do you agree with starting the wash process with a high pH product versus acidic, considering that in chemistry, high pH balances the acidic?"
So it's kind of an ongoing battle within the car wash industry, whether you start with a
Hmm.
high pH or a low pH.
Right.
Um, I typically think I like the low pH to start with, but that's
Hmm.
probably, um, there are people with a lot more experience, day-to-day experience in the industry that,
Hmm.
will tell you different. But
Hmm.
for me, the things that I have seen is that I like the low pH getting in there, and it tends to dislodge some of the particulate
Hmm.
on the surface, and then coming back with the higher pH, which usually is more of just like a general detergent soap cleaner sort of thing. So you kind of use the initial low pH to break things loose, and then you finish
Hmm.
it off with something that's just a little bit more typical surfactant system, and then it kind of continues to wash the surface. So that
Hmm.
for me, that's it. But it is definitely not necessarily a hot button, but certainly people do it differently.
Hmm. Yeah, so Eddie's saying he agrees it should go a solvent, acidic, high pH. And I believe Oh, I lost Tony's comment, but kind of the same. So they're saying high pH at the end to neutralize everything. That's what they're asking. So,
yep. Now,
cool.
so, usually when you're dealing with these low pH materials, the concentrate is pretty darn low pH, but you dilute them out. Right. So, I mean, you can get the pH low enough to start, to damage things, but by the time you've diluted them out, you basically have, a pH that's not like, damaging, but it does tend to dislodge the soils.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. All right. We've got a big side chat going here. Okay, so Alex Dewar in. I'm late, but I'm here. I hope everyone is well.
Alex.
I crystal washed and brake busted some wheels this weekend. Holy smokes, I have a video coming. Yes, if you have not done the crystal wash with brake buster on top, you're missing out. I started doing that 5 years ago, and that's the one where, I took crystal wash with me to Big Bear and said, you guys have to see this. That was my first love of crystal wash.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's fun when you have that moment where you're just like, does anybody know?
Yeah. Right. Well, I remember calling Bob and go, what is this pink stuff in this jar? Like, this stuff's amazing. It was the glass cream. All right. David Boyce says, I want Dave to know that I use a diluted concentration of carpet bomber in my Hoover Smart Wash for cleaning my apartment carpets. Very nice.
Sure.
That'll work good. I still recommend though, David, just from everything I've personally learned about carpet cleaning is I would still go hit those with finisher after. I think that's always a good idea, and not just for carpet bomber, any carpet cleaner, because any carpet, shampoo is going to be leaving behind surfactants that just knowing how the finisher kind of affects it in the cars. Personally, on my own carpets in my house, I go back still with finisher. All right, Gary Johnston says, used rehab on a black 86 Fiero GT this weekend, and all I can say is, wow, love the product.
Huh?
That is so cool. I haven't seen a Fiero in a minute.
It's been
a while.
That
is awesome. Yeah, that is awesome. All right.
Wow, original paint. Wow, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, that would be. Do you think that's probably single stage on that?
86, it's in that transition period.
Black. Yeah.
But the clear coat products back then were hit and miss.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, send us some pictures. Ed Hirsch says, hey, Dave, what can I tell customers about Odor Doc and when and if it will be available again?
Oh, it's coming up. Yeah, it's been a label. Yeah, it's been a label nightmare trying to get everybody to agree on what can be said on the label. So
yeah, so it was gone for a while, and we thought that it was not coming back, right? But we have now found out that it is coming back. So I don't remember. Did we hear that it is finalized? So it shouldn't be too long now, right?
It's finalized.
It's just a matter of labels. Yeah. So it should be back soon. So we'll try to get an update for you on that. Hans says, what is the scent in Frostbite again?
It's the eucalyptus mint tea, right?
Yeah. Yep. The eucalyptus mint tea.
Which, it's hard to say what that fragrance is. It's
yeah,
but
right.
It's neat.
Like, what are you picking up in there? Yeah.
I know when they use them in shampoos and stuff. I love them in shampoos. Wow, it just has this really fresh, kind of nondescript smell.
Yep. All right. David says, Dave, any future plans to develop a surfactant foaming waterless rinseless product? I know it's in your basement, Dave. So a foaming waterless rinseless. That's interesting. So if it foamed, how would you get rid of the foam is my question.
Yeah, kind of like I don't know.
That would be a little difficult. That would be a little difficult, I can imagine.
One of the things that you don't want to have happen in a rinseless sort of product is, the surfactants getting stuck in the little cracks and stuff, and then they kind of continue to maybe drip out and that sort of stuff. I don't know. Yeah. Sounds like a challenge.
Yeah. And Tony just said, I vote no on a surfactant rinseless. And I'm in that camp too. I'm not a fan of surfactant rinseless washes because using rinseless for as long as I have, like 13 years now, various rinselesses, I'm not a fan of the surfactant ones because I really notice a difference on the polymer based rinseless is that the car doesn't get as dirty as fast. And that's related back to the surfactant, right? And so part of the reason I want to use rinseless is because of the memory of it, and it remembers itself, and the car stays cleaner, but it doesn't on the surfactant based ones. Just because naturally, the idea of saying you're leaving nothing behind on the surface, I think it's impossible to really know what is left on the surface. And if you're using a rinseless and drying it, there's got to be some sort of level of surfactant left on the surface that I'm a hard no on surfactant based rinseless as well. So is Tony.
Yeah, I think you need to, if you're going to do a surfactant based rinseless, I mean, certainly you have to dilute the heck out of it.
Yeah.
They usually do dilute a long way. But you're right. I mean, and we've said that before, there's chemically speaking, you can't wipe something completely off the surface. So what you do want to leave behind, I mean, do want to leave behind, if you leave something behind, you do want it to be either, not cause a problem basically, or be something beneficial. Right.
Yeah.
And so we say, with absolute, it's like, well, no, we don't want to mislead people into thinking that we're leaving a protection behind.
Right. Yeah.
But you just can't remove everything, even though you've diluted, you start off with what, 200 to 1 or 100, and, you've diluted the way down.
Totally.
But there's
totally.
still, I think you kind of have to remember, are we running out of time? No,
no, Tony just gave us the 9 minutes to go. We're in the lightning round.
Oh, okay.
All right. So B. Riley says, Dave, what causes a product to build up or clog a coating versus not? Looking to use drying aid for my rinseless and want to make sure I'm not nullifying my Legend Defender.
Right. The term clogging, I think, is really descriptive. But I think, what it is it's things stuck to the surface. And what you do when you basically, rehabilitate a coating is you kind of get the stuff that's stuck to the surface. One of the, people talk about this for like, we want a permanent tire dressing. We want these permanent things or semi-permanent things are still subject to the same thing that anything that is like semi-durable is that stuff can get stuck on the top.
Right. And I would agree. I think that probably it's not the product that is clogging, it's covering up the contamination that's underneath, unfortunately. So I would just every so often, I'm a big fan of Crystal Wash, as we know. And so I start a lot of my washes with Crystal Wash, and then that makes, then for my own peace of mind, I know that, I have all the contamination off the surface, and then I'm going to be totally fine putting something like Defender back over my coating, and it's not going to seal in contamination. So I think it's not really products that are clogging it. It's contamination being sealed by the product. So just make sure that you are using something like Crystal Wash or something that's, or even, doing a frostbite wash is probably going to be sufficient a lot of times as well. Just getting that contamination off. All right. Next up, we got Eddie back with Dave with, how can I read that? With move to PFAS free. What
PFAS.
version
So
thoughts?
perfluoroalkyl sulfates, I believe, is what PFAS stands for. And these are basically the fluorocarbon, products that are, been in the news a lot, and a lot, they're gone.
Yeah.
Basically. They are called, the forever chemicals that you hear about, and unfortunately, they end up in everything. So we are looking at other things that are PFAS. They were amazing. That's the bottom line, is if you're going to protect against an oily stain, that sort of thing, you pretty much need the fluorine ion that had just that repelling property to it. But there's what, as regulations change, as things happen, the first thing is like, we're never going to get there again. It's never going to be as good. But I've been doing this long enough now that, it's like over time, you do figure out things that do work as well. I mean, so, when they had to get rid of Freon in refrigerants, they said like, that's it. We're going to have to put toxic, horrendously toxic things in the refrigerator, but they figured it out. So it'll get better over time.
Cool.
And I have things that I'm working with.
Awesome. Very good. Next up, Tony. We have 5 minutes. All right, Alan. Good morning, team. I will see you soon also, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Exciting.
So excited.
Looking forward to it a lot.
Can't wait. All right. Super Auto says an 8-ounce rehab orange free ride combo deal would be awesome. Not a bad idea. The orange free ride and rehab
package.
are quite the thing. Is the podcast feed still happening? So you know what? Yes, and it has not been. So our platform went through some changes, and I've had some difficulty getting it to work properly. So I need to start uploading those again. I was actually just thinking about that this morning. Like, do I go drop all of the old episodes in all at once, or just start fresh? So yes, it is. It's on my schedule to deal with. It's just going to take me a while to get some bugs sorted out with it. With the car show coming up, I haven't actually sat down too much to look at it, but like our host changed the way they did things, and it's made it a little bit difficult. So yes, I will still be on the podcast feed. John says, good morning, everyone. It's been a while since I caught a live show, and I want to thank you for all the information you provide. Dave, could you explain what a rust inhibitor is and how they work?
Yeah, a rust inhibitor is basically a chemical that you put on the surface of, or you use, and actually what it does is it accepts the oxidation potential prior to what you're putting it on. So if it's an iron rust inhibitor, what you're putting on there is a chemical that's going to oxidize before the iron does. So and iron is obviously, with rust and everything, very prone to oxidation. And so what you want to do, it's a little bit of a challenge, but you get just a material that oxidizes first. And you don't see it.
Yep. Cool. Awesome. All right. Jeff C says, what are Dave's thoughts on using Frostbite Absolute as a hybrid wash? Foam on Frostbite, pressure wash, finish with Absolute. Any benefits to adding Crystal Wash at the beginning for road salt? Any thoughts on that?
It seems overcomplicated to me.
Yeah. So honestly, Jeff, what I'm thinking here is, and I know I've seen people do this, and I mean, it's kind of one of those things, if you want to take the time, knock yourself out. For me, Frostbite and Crystal Wash are going to be doing, I mean, Crystal Wash is obviously significantly more effective, but I think if you're thinking using Frostbite to kind of decontaminate ahead of time, I would just use Crystal Wash. So when I'm doing an Absolute wash, I just use Crystal Wash, let it dry, wash with Absolute. The two work great together. Now I know that there's people that will foam Frostbite, rinse it off, and then do Absolute. And I understand why they do it, because they like the drying ability and they like the polymers and all of that. So that's fine. For me, if I'm going to be doing a rinseless wash, I don't want to deal with the foam and the rinsing and using all the water. So that's just me personally. But I think if you're needing to decontaminate before using Absolute, I would just stick to Crystal Wash. Is there a benefit to using Crystal Wash before I think all three of them is not necessary together. I would either do Crystal Wash and Absolute, Crystal Wash and Frostbite, or Frostbite and Absolute. Is Crystal Wash safe on PPF?
Yes, it is.
Yep. I use it all the time. No problem. Again, though, obviously, like with everything, if you're in direct sun, which I know you're not, Anthony, but just I want to say it. If you're in direct sun, I would be careful about letting the Crystal Wash dry on the PPF. But let's pretend like you did accidentally leave it on there too long and it made a mark. It will come out easily with something like Envy, the mark that it might leave. Anthony says, again, can we get a pH alkaline chart for PNS products?
I would think so. I mean, yes, it's certainly something that can be done.
Yeah.
I just think that, currently the trend is it's a little over conscious, or paying a little bit more attention to pH than it probably deserves.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. B. Riley says, oh, interesting. Absolute after Crystal Wash. No rinse is okay after Crystal Wash. Yeah, no, I do it all the time. It works totally great. Yeah. The Crystal Wash goes on the surface, it dries, and then it comes off, all the contamination, everything comes off in your sponge, just like the regular dirt, and, works with the Absolute. I've not had any issues with it. I've been doing it that way for, 4 or 5 years. Works great, honestly. So yep, I don't rinse. I go straight to my Absolute wash after Crystal Wash has dried.
I mean, I like, I use Absolute, obviously, Frostbite and Absolute in different occasions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for me. I mean, if I've
Me
got
too. I'm either doing a soap and bucket wash or I'm doing Absolute, but yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Hi, Piper. All right. Any more? We've got Gabriel. Rehab is something special, but please never stop or change Envy. Envy is so great and also deserves a fragrance.
Oh.
Envy is really
I
great.
wanted to I wanted to, do a little bit more looking at Envy, and so maybe a fragrance would be fun.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know. I wasn't planning on changing Envy, but it seems like I've learned a lot about polish recently.
Yeah.
I think we can make it better.
I love Envy. Yeah, it's great. Hans is requesting he would like a PNS body and hair shampoo. I would too, Hans. I would too, because I need a shampoo that gets the bead maker and defender out of my hair. Still was having issues last week when I went to the hair salon. First from Puerto Rico says, Dave, could a self-healing coating be achieved? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm going to run over here for a second. I'll keep answering it. Yeah. My thoughts are that self-healing coatings are a little bit of a strange concept to me. In that I feel like a coating is this really hard thing, and a self-healing coating is going to be, softer. And I just don't see how that works.
Yeah. So I will say I'm not a fan of self-healing coatings. I've tried a couple, and this was my pre-PNS days. I tried a couple self-healing coatings. I'm still servicing those cars that have them on them, and I'm just going to say I'm not a fan because just like Dave says, they're a little bit softer, and so you spend so much time like healing them supposedly, which I don't think works. And so I'm not a fan. They're incredibly soft, and I would rather have a coating that I don't need to heal from. If that makes sense. So I'm not a fan.
Yeah. I think, the term a coating can be a lot of different things. So I think as long as we don't pull in the term ceramic, which I think is a miscommunication.
Yeah. All right. David says, thank you for your time, Dave and Sydney, and Hot Feet Tony. Yes. We're going to hope for the best for Hot Feet Tony. Envy with stroopwafel scent. So he would like a cinnamon,
kind of a sweet,
right? a cinnamon baked cinnamon roll scent.
Interesting. Yeah, a little vanilla and cinnamon might get
yeah, like a chai. That would be nice. Tony's here. That means he's knocking on the door saying you guys are done. So I did see one comment that I wanted to address. Somebody said, can we get a 2-hour podcast with Dave? And yes, I think that's actually a good idea. And so, Hans, I'll get with Dave and we'll talk about another bead maker and coffee later this summer, like maybe in July, and we'll schedule it for 2 hours. So I'm sure Dave's going to say something for that, but I agree.
I'm not sure my brain works that
long. Ahead of time. Well, I think it'd be fun to get like questions sent in ahead of time for something like that, so that we really can have like a good list of stuff. Yeah. And speaking of my hot feet, I've got my straight from Mexico when my friend burnt his feet in Mexico.
Nice. The good stuff.
Aloe vera gel.
Yeah.
You probably got the good stuff in there. You got some lidocaine.
It's got lidocaine in it. Yep.
Yes, you're gonna need that. You're gonna need that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We go put a bunch on and then just peel some socks over it and go about my day.
Oh my gosh.
Just put that image in everyone's head. Well, man, thank you so much for coming on, Dave, and answering. There were some really cool questions today.
There were. Great questions. I'm glad we were able to do this. I do think I'm not funny enough.
Oh, of course you're funny.
No.
I love the ones where everybody laughs the whole time on Bead Maker and Coffee. I'm going like, I'm not funny enough for that.
Well, we'll have you after we do an event, because it's always the stories that happen while we're at an event that cause the hysterical laughing. Alex says, Dave's hilarious. Get out of here. Dave is very funny. Everyone's like, no, Dave is very funny. Dave is hilarious. Dave's hilarious.
I think there's a lot
In my
of
own mind.
value in what you bring, Dave. So yeah, no, there's a lot of value in what you bring. And if it's not necessarily a ton of laughs, all the science is so fun to just have everybody absorb and stuff. And
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
I appreciate being on. It was fun. Thank you.
Yes,
of
thank
course,
you. And yes, we'll have you back maybe in July. We'll talk about that this weekend, and maybe we can find a date that, yes, we'll pre-schedule uh a longer session. And maybe we'll switch it up and do like an afternoon one. I know
that'd be fun.
our friends
that
like
would
in
be
Australia and stuff, they're always like, "Oh, we want you to do something that's more, around the world a better time." So maybe we'll try a switch
that's
up and we'll
actually
do
a
an
cool
afternoon one.
idea because you can
Yeah.
get real-time questions from like really
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah. So maybe we'll try that. Maybe we'll try that in a couple weeks. We'll see how that goes. But everybody
Well,
have an awesome week. So we do have, obviously, Cruise in Hidden Springs is this week.
yeah, I
So
was
if
going to
you,
say, everyone keep an eye out on Cruise and Hidden Springs socials,
yeah,
for
yep,
this coming weekend. And then,
yep,
we'll see obviously everyone in 2 weeks, which is the
hmm
24th. And between now and then, yeah, everybody just keep thinking of extra questions for the special
yes,
extra Dave Q&A that we'll
yeah,
plan for the future. So
yes.
Are you doing
Awesome. All
anything
right.
live from? I'm sorry. Are you doing anything live from?
We probably will. I think I
hmm,
probably will go live a couple times just to give everybody kind of a view inside. I think this year I will have more help where maybe I'm hoping I can kind of realize that the show's even happening. Most of the time it's like a wedding and the whole day goes by and then I go, wow, I didn't take a single picture. So I'm going to try to be better this year. So I will be trying
yeah,
to go live and yeah, we'll definitely make sure we get that out. And we have lots of friends here this year too that can hopefully go live. I know, Chris Metcalf with Flex is coming down. We actually have a PNS booth this year. Connor's doing that for us, so people can actually buy products live, which we've not had before. So lots of little fun changes that hopefully we can get. We'll see if the rag company will step in a little bit and help us with the live. And yeah, so it should be good. We're super excited. That's
All
nice.
righty. Well, thank
I'm
you
playing
again.
around
All
with
right.
the
Wait.
views here.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to
I
be
know.
great.
So exciting. So exciting. All right. Well, I will see you guys. Thank you so much. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. And yeah, just watch all of our social media. We'll make sure to tune you guys in so you can see it.
All right.
Thanks, Hans.
You got it.
All
All
right.
right.
Thank